Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Stand in Love. It's Jennifer Miller here with our special guest, Linda Fogg-Phillips of the Tiny Habits Academy. Hi, Linda. How are you today?
Jennifer, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have you ever wondered what mental fitness looks like and how to increase your capacity to have a really healthy, long living brain? Does that question ever resonate with you? I don't know about you, but as we explore the 6 pillars of brain health, today we're beginning pillar 2, which is mental fitness. And Linda, you're an expert in this category, so could you just do a little introduction about your work and why people should be wondering what they do with mental fitness? Yes, and why are you here?
Why am I here? Yes, I'm the director of Tiny Habits Academy. I help people create habits in their life that they want very simply and easily without relying on willpower. Now, Jennifer, you know that mental health is a big focus of mine and has been for a number of years.
Yes.
In fact, I have come to really understand and realize if we don't have our mental health, we don't have anything.
That's right.
I mean, we can be handicapped in other areas of our life or physically handicapped, but if we're handicapped mentally, it's like game over. It's really difficult to really be successful or accomplish anything. So our mental health is hugely important. It's really important, number one, that we preserve it. And number two, that we understand our brain cells can replicate themselves.
Yes.
That used to not be understood or even believed. And some doctors don't think that can happen even now, but it can. It's been proven. But the important thing is to stimulate your brain and to provide your brain an environment where it can maintain its health and or improve the health of the brain.
I'm so glad you said that because we're just coming off the first pillar, which was physical exercise. And there's a lot of information and focus on staying physically active, right? Because it provides oxygen into our brain. We know that it's really healthy. And this is a great segue into what does mental fitness look like? We know how to keep our physical body, but how do we exercise and use our brain to keep it healthy? So what we're going to provide for you today, we have 5 really awesome tips. And as a doTERRA wellness advocate, Linda and we actually met in Salt Lake City when I was touring the doTERRA headquarters. We met in a training.
How funny.
And, yeah.
We live literally like a mile away from each other. Come on to the Salt Lake.
Right. And so we've become very fast friends, and we realized that our businesses really align with one another, giving you tools to use for how to create healthy habits and how to use essential oils for health and wellness. And today we're going to show you how to incorporate the essential oils into the habits for mental fitness. So the first one we'd like to talk about first is being positive with yourself. And if you could just talk a little bit about, and I'm going to open up bergamot, because bergamot is the oil of self-love. And this actually, bergamot is from Sicily. So I'm going to have you take a little drop. We're going to show everybody how they're actually going to use this oil. But when we talk about affirming and being positive with the self, how is it that actually helps us with our brain health? And maybe what's a habit look like that can help us with that?
Well, and especially as women, and I'm assuming that a lot of you that are watching this are women, and if you're not, that's fine. You can still stay with us and listen. A lot of us do a lot of negative self-talk. It's almost like we're very quick to criticize ourselves. We're very quick to say what we didn't do right. That is almost, it is a habit. That's what we default to. Now, the secret is try to change that, to try to reverse that. And when you catch yourself starting to think about something negative or a thought that's not positive, switch it around. Use that as an anchor. And we'll talk about anchors with tiny habits. You've done Tiny Habits.
If you haven't tried it, we're going to tell you the link. You'll be able to try it at the end.
But with Tiny Habits, there's 3 things that you need to have in order to create what we call a recipe. One is an anchor moment. An anchor moment is an existing habit or routine that you already do. Now, a new tiny behavior is the habit that you want to create. It's a little tiny behavior that the anchor moment will trigger. And the real secret is celebrating, attaching a positive emotion to any habit that you want to repeat and to create as a habit or a behavior.
I love that part. That's my favorite part. Celebrating when you do the habit. It's like, let me put some citrus bliss oil on and dance around and have a good time.
So show us, in fact, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Jen. Show us yourself one of your celebrations. What do you do?
So one of my favorite ways to celebrate in the morning is when I put my feet on the ground. It's a positive affirmation, and this actually, whether you know it or not, is increasing your mental fitness. So when my feet hit the ground in the morning, I'm going to say, today is going to be a great day. And I just did my tiny habit. So yay, and I dance, and I do the 5, and I walk around. And you can ask my husband, who's filming our video right now, that who knows about my little celebration dances. And you're creating that new neural pathway, which is so important to activate and to really preserve and help our brain grow. It's really amazing. It's very simple.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought that habit up. That's my favorite habit. In fact, we call that the Maui habit because that's what you're going to do every day if you are in Maui. But even if
that's a good one.
But even if you're not Maui, if you do that positive thought, it's going to be a great day every morning after your feet hit the ground.
Right.
It really changes the way that you look at your day. It changes your perspective. It helps you realize that you have the ability to control your day as opposed to letting your day control you and put you into the negative tailspin.
Right.
Now, as far as with oils like this, like you just showed us putting this on your hand. Now, this is a tip. Keep this on your nightstand.
Yes.
And as your feet hit the floor, put this in the palms of your hand, smell it, and then say, it's going to be a great day.
Woo! Yeah, because bergamot is the oil of self-love, and it's a very affirming, self-affirming oil. So you're connecting, and because the olfactory system is so powerful, our brains remember and they'll take a smell because our sense of smell is 10,000 times stronger than any of our other senses. So when you're activating by remembering something via a smell, it's really helping you to anchor that habit that you're doing. Another great one while we're talking about being positive with yourself, I'm sharing frankincense because this is the king of oils. This can be used for absolutely anything, but when you need a little something to make yourself feel a little bit more positive, take a little frankincense and enjoy.
Actually, I have that sitting on my desk at home, and I pulled that out yesterday and took a sniff because I know how powerful that oil was.
Yes.
And it just really helped me get recentered and energized. And it's like, okay, let's do this.
It is.
But as we're talking about positive thoughts, and, we're having a conversation here, so things are organically popping into our heads as we discuss. What I love with positive thoughts is to bookend your day. And what I mean is do the Maui habit, like you just described, and use your oil to help trigger that and to help reinforce that positive thought.
Yes.
But also, as you're getting ready for bed and you're unwinding, and this is one of my other favorite habits that I do, is after my head hits the pillow at night, I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. So I go to bed with gratitude. Here again, a positive thought.
Yes.
Here again, use that oil.
Yes.
So as you're resting and as you're sleeping, your brain is not worrying about everything that you haven't done and just running wild, but it's actually being calmed and it's really thinking about what has been positive in your day or what you're grateful for. It helps you rest a lot better.
And it's so powerful, and I'm so glad you said that one because, again, since we're really giving tools for people, this is a great tool. It's called Serenity, and this is really my go-to for sleeping at night to help promote restful sleep. But what it's doing is it's calming the system. So even though our bodies, when we study the brain health, we know that our bodies lay down and rest, but our mind continues to be active even when our body is trying to calm down. So this really will help to promote a calming and a grounding sensation of your thoughts from racing around. So that's one way I really like to use that. So that's a great way to anchor. So you can do bergamot in the morning. It's going to be a great day, tie that, and then at night, the tip of being saying things that you're grateful for, but calming your brain down so that you can unwind and have a restful sleep, which is really important for brain health.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I have a question for you, an application question. Okay. Have you ever diffused this at night while you sleep?
Yes, I love to diffuse this. Yes. In fact, my husband and I both diffuse this at night because the mixture is, it's almost hypnotizing. I don't know if it's okay to say that, but I like to get my diffuser going about an hour before I go to bed. And I walk in, and it's like a vapor of serenity. It's like walking into peaceful dreams, and it just is like a lullaby and puts you to sleep. So that's how I like to use it. But
now we're going to be really calm through the rest of this discussion.
You're like, wait. I try to give it to my bulldog, too. He's really kind of uptight, so these oils are good for pets as well. So that's great. So positive with the self. Our second topic that we're going to talk about for promoting mental fitness is, get ready for this one, because I know everybody thinks it's kind of counterintuitive, but we're going to stop multitasking.
Yes. Well, okay, as women, we are like the world's best experts at multitasking. I can't even say that, my goodness. And we think we're accomplishing more, when in reality, we're accomplishing less. And the reason why is because your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. Right. So watch yourself. Don't multitask. That really is like you said, counterproductive. Right. And not only that, but it's destructive to your brain because your brain gets confused. It doesn't know what you're supposed to be doing at that very moment. Right. So that's really actually difficult.
And wouldn't you say that our culture really, it almost makes you prize, being able to, I can do, we say on resumes and when we're looking for jobs, and I'm very great at multitasking and I can do so many things at one time, as if we should be aspiring to be, master multitaskers, when in fact, it's really detrimental for our brain health. So
it is.
One thing I love to use, and this is just a little confession. This probably is my most favorite oil. You're going to hear me say that's my favorite oil a lot, but I'm not even joking. This is called In Tune, and this is the Focus Blend, and this literally has saved my life. I am a very overactive brain. I have a lot of thoughts, as I know we talked about this, which is why we get along so well. Yes. And I know there's many of you out there that you get overwhelmed very easily, and it just kind of comes up. And so In Tune, here's what I do. I roll this around. If I have to sit down, work on a project, if someone has kids that are running around, the kids can take this in their backpack. This is a fantastic blend that really helps to just ground you. In fact, I love this so much that I made myself a little tiny habit note card to remind myself. This has sandalwood, lime peel, and frankincense, and those are all the oils that help mental clarity. And then it also contains Roman chamomile, a little bit of patchouli leaf, and then ylang ylang, which all help to calm and soothe a very overactive and overstimulated brain. So this is very helpful if you struggle with just really overdoing too much and wearing the cape that you're doing everything.
or, having that big S for Superwoman on our chest, right? You think it's tattooed there permanently.
Right, but it doesn't help. So what's a good habit that you would suggest for someone to, while they're having it in tune on, what would be a good habit for someone to do who has a tendency to multitask too much?
You know what? I've got the great habit for this. In fact, this has been a proven habit that we have done studies with. So as the whole program, Tiny Habits, is an evidence-based program. But this one specifically, we studied very in-depth with a research hospital that's well known in California. Okay. This is a habit that I like to do when I'm starting to feel like I'm overtasked or, multitasking, because what happens is you become overwhelmed. You start getting stressed. Stress is the biggest killer in the world. I mean, it's linked to every other disease that we have. It kills our brain. It burns those brain cells. So it's really important to keep stress in check. So whenever I feel, and this is it's an anchor that's not a tangible anchor, so you have to be aware of how you're feeling. If you're feeling overwhelmed or when I feel stressed, I will close my eyes and I'll take 3 deep breaths.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm sure there's nobody out there that ever feels stressed, right? This is really applicable for all the viewers who are watching all around the world. We have Tiny Habit viewers and Stand Up Love followers around the world. So this is a practical tool that you can do right now. You can close your eyes when you're feeling that thing. And you can take 3 deep breaths and inhale the In Tune and some of the focus. And those are tools. Those are practical tools that can help you. So you don't have to feel like you don't have an answer. There are solutions and ways to help.
In fact, Jennifer, we did this exact study with they were emergency room nurses that are very, very highly tapped out, and they are trying to multitask, and they've got a lot of stress. In fact, these nurses that we were studying don't even have time to go to the bathroom in their 12-hour shift, and that's a reality. Now, hopefully none of us are in that position, but yet we have found that this one habit is of after I feel stressed, I will take 3 deep breaths, is the most effective habit in reducing stress. What it does physically is it brings your heart rate down, it lowers your cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, and it also helps you clear your head. It helps you really focus on that one thing instead of everything, because that's really more effective, is that one thing.
It's just the one thing, right?
But that's even with that inhale, putting an oil in your hand.
Smelling that and just taking the breath.
Yes.
And it's sending the message right up to the limbic system, like, let's take it down a few notches, right? It's so really helpful. So those are great tips. Thank you, Linda, for sharing. Those are awesome. The third one that we're looking at, this is the good one. Play games. Who knew? I don't know. This is like how to have mental fitness. We hear so much about this, but just playing a game, whether it's a video game, crosswords, Sudoku, whatever is your favorite thing. But it says ones that could stimulate visualizing things. So it could be a game of like guessing where you want to live, or just using your creativity and reasoning and just trying to problem solve, and trivia. Those are all really great ones. So I'll pick an oil while you tell us what's a favorite habit that you could do to help you improve your ability to have fun.
Well, I have a lot of kids, and whenever I tell anybody this, they about pass out. But I have 8 children. Yes, I know, it's crazy. And it was by choice. It wasn't an accident. Everyone was by choice. And I have 5 grandchildren. And it's just so much fun that when they come, I focus on having fun with them. We need to be lighthearted in life. In fact, we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously for anything. Anything, seriously. There's nothing that, we should really say, oh, this is horrible, or this is, we really got to be serious. It's like our problems are better solved when our brains are lifted up by having fun and by laughing. Laughter is really important.
And if you can't, if laughter doesn't come naturally to you, I have a couple of solutions. One of them is to take the uplifting blend. It's called Cheer, and it's a proprietary blend that has all kinds of goodness. But you can, if you just need to laugh, you can put this on as perfume. Just a dab on your wrist and put that together, and it makes you feel very cheerful.
I don't have this one. I need this one.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Yes.
It's part of the emotional.
Yes.
There's a kit of just emotions. There's 5. That one is fantastic. And then the encouraging blend is called Motivate. This is another one. Get you motivated to play your games,
Yes.
play your trivia, or if you just are so serious, take some Motivate to lighten up. And it's okay. and go ahead, yes.
Well, I was going to say, one of the habits that I have, like I said, I have a lot of kids, and I take them a lot of places, and as a result, I'm always waiting on them, whether it's a sporting event or a doctor's appointment or at school or whatever. I'm sitting and waiting for them. So one of my habits is, while I'm waiting for my kids, one of my kids, could be multiple, but we'll say one, I will open up one of my apps on my phone and play a game.
Oh, that's a great
And I know that
idea.
sounds funny, but I have kids' games on my phone. Some of it's because of my grandsons.
That's
But
okay.
nonetheless, while I'm waiting, and that's an anchor, while I'm waiting,
Right.
I open up a game on my phone and play a game. Sometimes it's only for like 10 seconds. Sometimes it's for 10 minutes. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever gets your brain stimulated and what makes you laugh or makes you feel good.
Right.
The other thing that I'll do as far as to be playful, I watch bloopers on YouTube. I know that's hilarious. I know that's funny. But even, if I'm waiting for someone, one of my kids, I'll open up YouTube on my phone and I'll watch bloopers. And I'm sitting there laughing and everybody thinks I'm nuts. But,
I have a friend, Dr. Rachel Sand, and she is a very fun holistic psychologist. And every time I see her posts on social media, she's so funny. She always puts hippopotamuses running through the water or something that always makes me laugh. And I just think, I know that she knows that it's laughter and just keeping levity is really important. So those are great tips. So playing games. So we talked about being positive and using affirmations to stop multitasking. That's a great way to practice that. Playing games. And our next one is try something new. So this is something that can be taken from any extreme, from an A to Z. There's a way to try something new. And the oils that I'm going to share with Linda as she's talking about habits to create new habits for trying new things are oils that really are going to help encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and to just be okay with it's not perfect, it's little progress, and that's okay. So I'm going to give you ginger because this is my favorite one to use.
I love ginger.
Ginger is fantastic for giving a little courage. You can take a little ginger before you're going to do something new and rub it on your heart for courage, and just or even behind your ear. But there's something so incredible. Putting the oils and finding our hearts and laughing and having a good time. It's good. So ginger is fantastic for this.
Yes.
The motivate, the cheer, they all kind of get you in the mood to step out. So some habits, someone who's afraid to try something new. What does that look like?
You know what? You've got to live outside of your comfort zone. I mean, it's really boring to be in a little box. And I have not learned this until the last 8 years when I was actually forced outside of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Now I'm really... and I hate to admit this, but maybe it's not a bad thing, I'm addicted to the adrenaline that I get out of my comfort zone. So push yourself, do new things. It's like I had a gardener that showed up yesterday for the first time, to work on my yard, and he spoke Spanish. Well, long ago I used to speak Spanish pretty well, but it's been a while and I haven't done that. But even though he spoke better English than I spoke Spanish, I pushed myself to speak Spanish to him.
Right.
But that also goes along with learning something new. Languages are one of the best things that you can do to stimulate your brain to learn something new, to have those new neural pathways,
Yes.
those new trails in your brain.
Right. And I was reading a study that you can actually, by reinforcing those new pathways, that there's some scientific research showing that we can create new brain cells. By trying new things and forcing ourselves into a different way, that it actually creates a new neural pathway, which is amazing.
Well, and a good example of this, and I'm going to get your viewers to try this, and this will give you an idea of how we get so used to the same thing and how it really puts us in a rut, and we really need to try new things. So, Jennifer, fold your arms. Okay, now unfold them. Fold them the opposite way. I know you've done this before.
No, I kept thinking about how awkward it is.
Fold them the opposite way.
I don't even know if I can.
So try that. Fold your arms. See which one's on top, and then unfold them, and then do it the opposite way.
I almost can't even. I'm not even sure how to do it. That's what's so strange.
Well, see, it's something new, and by doing things like that throughout your day, it really makes you think, and it makes your brain function better because you're building new cells and you're rethinking it. Yeah. So even like learning a language, a tiny habit for that is, after I brush my teeth, I will learn 3 new words in a different
Oh.
language. So, you can even get those little card decks in different languages of new words.
That's a
And
great
pull out
idea.
3 of those even while you're brushing your teeth.
Right.
And recite those or learn those so that, you're doing the same thing. Or
You brush your teeth and you're saying, Je parle français, and you're having a good time.
So, challenge yourself every day to be outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it's taking a different way to work or a different way home.
Right.
Or going to a different grocery store where things aren't in the right place, right?
And it forces the brain to activate, and it lights up, and it's stimulated, it's happy, it's saying, thank you so much for giving me something new to do. It's an organ, it's a muscle, like we talk about physically exercising and having flexibility, but our brains are just that way too, that they're use dependent. And that's what Jim Quick was talking about in his conference with us, that we must continue to use the brain, which is the perfect segue into our final our final component today is for increasing mental fitness is reading. And I don't know about you, but I love to read. And Jim Quick, the memory expert, is always talking about leaders are readers and learners. You just have to keep expanding, keep expanding. It doesn't matter if it's newspaper or books or whatever it is, but it's helping you grow. And this is a great book I'm just going to suggest because it's one that I've started to read this morning called The End of Average, How We Succeed in a World That Values Sameness. And for the sake of time on this, I'm not going to get into what this book is about, but if you have, you can please comment if you have read it or share with the viewers, because this is a fantastic book about we don't need to be compared to averages, that everybody is unique and has their own ability to do amazing things. And if you need help, my tips for you for oil on how to stimulate the brain to sit down and read. Again, the focus blend that we talked about called In Tune. You can roll that on your arms. You could also take a little bit of lemon or peppermint. These are both very invigorating. And just the act of smelling that, or I put the lemon, because this is super pure and potent, therapeutic grade. I put that right, and go ahead and drop a couple drops. Shake that right in my oil.
Lemon is my favorite oil, hands down,
so
because I love lemons. Wow, I probably put too much in there for you, Jen.
No, it's good. I'm very invigorated, and this is also good for cleansing. So that's
I'm a little heavy-handed on the lemon oil.
It's an amazing little wonder. And then peppermint. I always show people this one. Not only is it a breath freshener, but you can take a little peppermint and just this kind of activates. It's a stimulant, so you want to avoid putting it in your eyes, but just kind of around the area before you sit down and read. This is if you have trouble. This could be a habit for someone who has trouble focusing or doing that. But what's a good way to develop a new habit, would you say, Linda, for people who want to increase their brain power by reading? What would you say?
Yeah, well, you just hit the nail on the head. Reading, out of all of these, reading is, in my opinion, one of the most important habits that you could possibly create, because it really does stimulate your brain. And not only that, we say knowledge is power, but it's really, knowledge really isn't the power. Acting is the power, but you've got to get the knowledge in there somehow before you can actually do. So it's sort of like a chain effect. What I like, the tiny habit, and I'm an avid reader like you are. I know we were talking before this, and you read 45 minutes a day. I pretty much read 45 minutes a day, or at least sometimes I read longer than that, but that's my end goal. But it's not necessarily a tiny habit, but there's a good way to hack that to create reading as a habit, a daily habit. Yeah. So the tip there is determine when during your day do you want to read. Now, you said you read in the morning.
I read in the morning because I will be falling. If I try to read a page at night at the end of the day, I'm sleeping. I don't know about any of you when you choose to read, but one page, I'll go back and say, what did I just read in that sentence? And I'm falling asleep. I have to do it first thing in the morning. That's when I'm most stimulated and most awake. So that's what works for me, but that's not for everybody.
Yeah, and I read after I get done working out because my brain's already going, so I am able to assimilate the information better. I also will read at night, but just like you said, sometimes I read at night as a way to just debrief or to calm myself down. Right. And I don't remember what I read at night,
especially if you use Serenity while you're reading. You're gonna be passed out.
but so my tiny habit for reading, and this is find when you want to read during the day. Find an existing routine or habit that happens during that time of the day. Use that as your anchor. So for me, after I get home from working out, I get in the shower, I get dressed, and then I go sit down at my desk. I have an office at my home. So I sit down at my desk. So after I sit at my desk, I open up a book. That's my tiny habit.
Just opening the book is the habit. Not like you're reading 3 pages, but sitting down and saying, I'm going to open the book. And then you get to celebrate because you opened the book.
So I celebrate. So I always make sure there's a book on my desk. In fact, I usually have a stack of books. And this is another little hack. I probably buy 3 or 4 books a week. I know I'll never live long enough to read all of those.
Anybody out there relate to that?
My daughter and I, we call them our friends. Our books are our friends. And I take my friends everywhere with me. And I accumulate new friends. But I stack them in order of how I want, the book on the top is the one I want to read next.
Okay.
And so they go, I have about 5 or 6 books always stacked like this on my desk. And I can read and sometimes the order will change just based on my interest. Whoops,
that's okay.
Not and
that way you'll know which one is the next one for you to.
So it's very easy for me that after I sit down, I pick up my book and open it up and I celebrate. Now, that's what we call a starter step into a tiny habit. What typically happens is I start reading.
Right.
And I purposely do not schedule meetings before 10 a.m. in the morning because I want that to, your morning time is your most powerful time.
It is.
So I block out an hour. Typically when I get home after working out, there's, I fix breakfast. There's other little errands or chores that I do around my house. But when I sit down to work, it's usually around 8:30 or 9.
Right.
So I have a full hour blocked out. I don't always get to read that long.
Right.
But it is,
but you're primed.
Yes,
that's like your
exactly.
your brain is primed to receive because you have the oxygen flowing, and that's a great time for you to recall and to have it be very efficient time reading. I know we study about the brain health. Jim talks about that, using when is the best time so that you can really capture the information so that you're not wasting your time.
Yeah.
And I've used, if you haven't done Linda's Tiny Habits, I have to tell you, there's a 5-day. When is your next 5-day?
Oh, it starts every Monday.
Okay.
But you can sign up anytime.
Okay. And it's free. It's free on the website.
Perfectly free.
How do they get there if they want to try the free Tiny Habits?
Go to tinyhabits.com and there's or tinyhabits.com/join. It will take you to our Tiny Habits Academy page, which is I run the Tiny Habits Academy, or you could, now this is really going to be confusing, or you could go to tinyhabitsacademy.org. So there's several ways that you can get into that program.
Yeah, we'll post the links in the video too.
But yeah, you just sign on to that program. We'll send you the information on how to create tiny habits and get you started. And we've had over 65,000 people go through this program.
It's great.
It's an evidence-based program. We've got over 1 million data points that we know this works. It's the #1 most successful and effective habit formation method in the world. And coupled with your oils, or coupled with doTERRA oils.
Oh yes, it's great.
It's like it takes it to the next level.
We're like
a multiplier.
It's a multiplier. We put frankincense on that. That's the multiplying. We'll put frankincense while you're doing your tiny habit, and boom, you'll have those down in no time. So, gosh, this has been so much fun. And Linda, thank you so much for coming today. This has just been a great conversation, and hopefully we provided you all, I know we have, with some really great tools to use. And we'll put the links in there for more information on getting these essential oils, the purity and the potency into your home for health and wellness. You can check out standandlove.org or visit in the link that's in the program here. So thank you again, Ms. Linda. I look forward to sharing success with all you tiny habit folks out there. Have a good day. Bye.